Hello, everyone. Welcome to Music Scene Investigation. Rich Wildman here. I'll be your host today. Before we get things started, however, I need to remind everyone out there today, there's been a little issue with our live video content delivery network. Apparently, they were working on their fiber optic cable yesterday, doing some maintenance on their backup connection, and inadvertently cut off their main connection, which caused them to go down totally. They're offline. And yeah, it's a great planning on their part, but you know,
oops.
Yeah, oops.
These things sort of happen. You know, cut your nose to spite your face.
I don't know if it's a cut your nose to spite your face or if it's just a cut your nose and your face. But regardless of the situation, we are broadcasting live on MSI Radio. So if you're tuned in to MSI Radio, thank you for tuning in. Please let us know you are via Twitter, because our chat room is also down. Imagine that. They run everything on the same server, apparently. I don't know how this works, but apparently somebody over on their end doesn't either.
One wee wire.
Yeah, one wee wire. You think, you know, when I worked IT with the with the government, we did.
When you worked it?
We worked with primary connections, secondary connections, and tertiary connections. So we had triple redundancy, but I guess no one believes
What's
in
that, Rich? You had what?
Secondary.
You had 3 wires.
We had 3 wires, exactly.
He was in charge of all 3.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Anyway, on today's broadcast,
connected to other people's devices to listen to you.
That's exactly right. It's exactly.
You worked for the NSA.
Exactly. No, I did not work with the NSA. I don't know what to say anymore. Anyway, on today's broadcast, we've got 3 new songs we're going to be putting in front of our panel today, and we'll hear what our panel has to say about them in just a little bit. If you want your music in front of our panel, it's easy to do. Go to musicsceneinvestigation.com, and at the top of the page, you can click on the Submit a Song link. And we will make sure that when someone's working on our secondary fiber, nobody's playing with the primary.
You need more fiber, Rich.
I know we do, Tommy. How are you, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm enjoying the life.
Which life is that? The life that the guys
the
set
life
up
I
for
could
you?
have had.
The witness protection program life, or the other one?
Yeah. They've moved me to some cave in, I can't say where. But it's an acoustical cave, so I'm acoustically fine.
Yeah, you can tell by the acoustical treatment they gave the rock in the background there.
Yeah, well, hey, it's all neat now. Look at this, you know?
Yeah, I see that. It looks great.
Yeah, me and the assistant tore into it. You know, we were doing an install on an all-analog board, and the more I hook it up, the more I love it. Even Alana came in, heard the difference right away.
Well, I'm thinking that once you get everything hooked up, it'll be fine.
I'll be able, wait until you see the microphone set up when I have everything hooked in.
Now, Tommy, you can't have any more mics or any larger mics than the ones we've already seen. I've been doing this with you for, what now, almost 6 years, 7 years, something like that. I've seen microphones from this size to this size that you've used, and I don't think you can pull anything out of your microphone bag that I haven't seen.
Oh, no, it's not going to be size. It'll be volume.
Oh, so you're going to have like a microphone for every person in the building.
Yes, and they all will translate into different languages in real time.
Oh, so we could do this show in languages for everybody.
Well, that's for the Martians, the NSA, and people in Jersey.
Okay, well, as long as we got Jersey covered, I'm happy.
How about Brooklyn?
Thanks for being here, Tommy. I appreciate it.
I have no choice.
You know, it's part of the contract.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go over to London, England, and talk to a couple of friends of ours. As always, Ian Husbands is there, but he has a guest with him as well, Mr. Nick Andrew. Nick, Ian, hey guys, how are you?
Hello, how you doing?
It's great to see you. And first of all, Ian, tell me about your shirt because, you know, I know you've worn that one before.
I have.
But
I only like their first album.
Very good.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You get the irony and the sarcasm in them.
I do, because we've only got one album out.
That's right.
And of course, Nick Andrew is with us as well.
Gratuitous plug.
And yeah, we got to talk about the album. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to make everything nice and convenient for everybody. I'm going to let Ian do all the interview aspect because he's right there and he can interact with you, whereas it would be me like banging up against the glass.
Well,
or
he
something
just
like
interrupt every time anyway.
Yeah, I'll interrupt exactly, and Ian can talk with you, so that'll be great.
So, Nick, where are you from?
Just down the road, really, at the moment.
Just down the road. Right. How'd you get here tonight?
In my house.
Good, which is your car, obviously.
Aye.
Yeah.
Still the car.
Quite seriously, though, the album's out.
The album's out.
Above All Noise.
Above All Noise. Fantastic ZipperTongue album. The best guitar playing and the best singing, best drumming ever on that album.
I like it. You're right. You're right.
He likes the artwork.
Personally,
Ian did the artwork.
Personally, I think it's some of the best artwork ever produced.
Yeah. I think on that album it's the best.
Yes.
Any other album it wouldn't work.
And for the ZipperTongue catalogue, it's the best of.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best thing we've ever done so far for our first album.
Now,
So
is that album available for everybody to purchase today? Where can they find it?
Yep, it came out on the 1st of January this year, and it was released on iTunes, play.com, all the online sites. You can buy a physical copy from CD Baby, or you can buy one direct from me if you can find me in a relevant lay-by somewhere.
Okay.
You said buy one from you in a lay-by.
Yeah, just a CD.
Right.
The rest is extra.
And of course, right now, if people want to hunt you down, they can find out where Ian's at.
Yes, but as you can see, you can't really tell. We don't have any acoustic paneling or anything. We've got tie-dye.
Yeah, we're doing the hippie thing, man.
Yeah.
Now, that's the camouflage that you always see the Navy and Army use.
Yeah, it's so that the NSA can't find us, the Narcoleptic Sailing Association.
Yes.
We don't want them sailing up to us and falling asleep.
We all put you near the canal. You know.
Yeah.
It goes out of control. If you remember when Nick was on,
that's decided arses.
If you remember when Nick was on with us in September last, off the rails. Then we're just picking up where we left off, guys.
I propose.
Oh, you found the rail.
I propose we do a show with me, Nick, and Dave Carrera all sat here together.
Dave Carrera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be interesting.
I've given you the means to do that, Ian. Make it so.
Just have a party around my house and do an MSI show.
Yeah. Slant you there.
All right, Nick. So what have you been up to since last we had you on MSI? It's been a very long time. I'm sure that a lot has been going on.
Aye. Well, finished the album, obviously. So we're in the process of, we're rehearsing a band now and should be gigging the end of May. Going
Which
out and doing some live shows. You finished? Sorry?
Which album was this you finished?
Oh, sorry. Did I not mention it? Above All Noise by ZipperTongue.
Okay. And where is it available?
iTunes, everywhere on the internet, and any lay-by you see me in, basically.
Okay.
For 10 Earth pounds. It's about $100 in America. But we'll give you a wee discount if you're good.
The $100 tag really only holds because of the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork cost us a fortune.
I figured you had to pay that.
He just sat down on a photocopier while he was sweating.
I think he just. That is your arse print, isn't it?
It's an inkblot test with my arse.
Do you know what? I'd say it was an arse print, but that's mine in the singer's face. So,
I'm so sorry.
It's not far off. So yeah, in all seriousness,
you can go better shows than this to be insulted, can't you?
That's the nicest thing that's been said about my face for a long time. I tell you.
ZipperTongue.com.
ZipperTongue.com.
Website.
Yeah, it's on the website, ZipperTongue.com. Yeah, and you can have a wee listen to some of the tunes. We've got little YouTube videos as well. I've been busy doing them, promotional videos. So I've done a little one of MIDI guitar and playing some of the solos from the album and teaching some of the solos of the album. Steve Roper, the singer, he's been demonstrating his little gadget thing, singing gadget. What's it called? Harmonizer. That's it. His Digitech Harmonizer, which he's completely mastered and is actually very, very clever at. So we've actually started doing Bohemian Rhapsody in our cover band set, just the two of us. And Steve does pretty much all the singing, all the harmonies. And he does it without a moustache and a vest. So it's quite
Does
like
he take
Freddie
the
Mercury.
mic stand out and just hold the top part?
He would, but he'd fall over.
Right.
So no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. But yeah, he's got the handle on the technology better than anybody else I've seen, really. So it's well worth checking out just for that. So you can see that on the ZipperTongue YouTube channel, which is just ZipperTongue YouTube channel.
Just ZipperTongue or ZipperTongue YouTube channel?
I think it's just ZipperTongue. 2 words, zipper and tongue.
All right.
That's it.
Sounds good. Now, I want to ask you a question because you hit upon something that was very interesting to me the first time we had you on MSI, and you brought it up this time, MIDI guitars.
Aye.
I know you're extremely interested in MIDI guitars, and between the first time we had you on and today, what has happened with MIDI guitars? Has there been any forward progress, anything new in that arena?
Aye, there's been, I think last time I might have told you about the Fishman triple play, which was it was Fishman's take on the Roland synths. And what they've done is they've developed a pickup that speaks to a little dongle that goes into your Mac or laptop. And you can use Contact. Mm-hmm. They've got their own specialist software that uses Contact with it. And I finally tried one a couple of months ago, and it was very, very good. And the minute I can afford one, or they give me one for free, I can exploit that technology on the tour. And we're going to be doing masterclass tours as well, so going into music colleges and all these kind of places. So they're always interested in the MIDI technology side. So yeah, be the best thing that Fishman ever did would be to give me a free one.
You all right there?
Yeah, just got to give me a free one. Just
kind of chest cough.
Yeah,
something to free that up.
No, in all seriousness, they're actually quite hard to get hold of in this country. So I've not been able to try one out and put it through its paces, but I'm still using about 15-year-old technology at the minute because nobody's really improved on it yet.
Yeah, I was just curious as to how the technology has progressed. We talked a little bit about it last time, and I wanted to touch upon that this time because I know that things have been happening. I've seen a lot of new controller types coming out, a lot of new software, especially for mobile devices like the iPad, the iPhone, Android phones, and tablets, and things along those lines. So I was very interested in that.
It's difficult.
Vocalist is pretty much MIDI using a vocal for a controller.
Aye. The way that Steve uses it, he plugs his guitar in. So he sings, when he sings a note and he selects a harmony of, say, a third and a fifth. If he's singing an A, he can play an A major chord or a D major chord, and it'll harmonize to the chords that he's playing on the guitar. But you can do it, like Tom said, you can do the same with MIDI. If you've got a MIDI keyboard, then it actually works slightly better because the MIDI is slightly quicker at working out what key you're in.
Because I've got an old TC Helicon voice prism or something. I should talk to your friend because he's got to teach me how to set up these fifths or steps or whatever.
Aye. No, the TC Helicon stuff's really good. It's kind of a bit of a battle with them and Digitech. The trouble is that not very many people use the pedals or know how to use it. So when you do get somebody that knows how to use it, it works really, really well. But we saw the new TC what was it? The floor pedal for guitarists. That was awesome. Absolutely amazing. There's so many things. I mean, if I got one, if I had a house, I'd never leave it.
I used to have a TC Helicon Voice Live. The first generation, it was an amazing piece of gear, so I can only imagine what they're doing today. So,
yeah, it just sounds more. It's beginning to sound more and more realistic. A lot of people say sometimes it sounds robotic, but when you're using it live and you're mixing it in with real vocals, nobody notices.
Yeah.
Same with the MIDI guitar. I can stand there and play the keyboard part, the piano part to Bohemian Rhapsody, and nobody in the audience gets it. They don't notice. It's amazing.
Question on Twitter for you, Nick.
Oh, how does it respond? Tom Penrod,
Pinky, yeah.
from Pinky. Is that a place?
Pinky is his Twitter name.
Oh, okay. You'd call it a little finger, wouldn't you?
That's a pinky.
Oh,
yeah.
No. How does it respond to hammer-ons and pull-offs, string bends, and other guitar playing subtleties? Well, it depends how you set them up, Mr. Pinky. It's one of the big bugbears about MIDI guitar at the moment is that it's very difficult to do tapping. So if you're doing any kind of tapping or if you're doing anything too dynamic, it doesn't quite work. Because when you play a keyboard, you get a note on, note off information on the keyboard. Whereas with the guitar string has so many variables and overtones, it can trigger, an overtone can trigger 3 notes at a time sometimes. So you have to play very cleanly. And you can set it up so you can do legato stuff, but the tapping stuff is a bit of a problem. As far as string bends go, you can set it up so that it won't string bend. So if you bend on a piano patch on my guitar, it'll go up in chromatic steps. It'll go like that instead of. But you can also set it up to go or as you do so wish.
But really, playing a MIDI guitar, you've got to think outside the box. You're not playing a guitar; you're actually playing that instrument. You try and bring the expression of that instrument in via the guitar. Well,
I think I might have said that last time that if you're playing like a harmonica is a good example. You're playing a keyboard version of a harmonica, so you've got to think like how a keyboard player would express a harmonica, and then express on the guitar how a keyboard player would express a harmonica. So you're two steps removed.
How a keyboard player would express a harmonica player playing,
yeah.
And then you have to express how a keyboard player is expressing how a harmonica player is playing.
Exactly, because the way that the notes move on the guitar is kind of similar to how you play a keyboard rather than a harmonica. And because it's synthetic, Hammond organ's another good one. You've got to play like a Hammond organ player. You've got to get the right. You can't just sit there and play a bunch of blues licks. You've got to sit and play a bunch of Hammond organ blues licks. So the sliding from the black note to the white note, vice versa, and playing lots of double stops. I listen to a lot of John Lord and guys like him. What's his name?
Yeah.
Don Airey.
Right.
I like Don Airey a lot. Jimmy Smith, lots of the jazz players. And just steal bits of their licks and then try and work out how to play them on the guitar.
How about Ray Manzarek?
He's a guitarist, isn't he?
He was the keyboard player in the Doors, wasn't he?
Oh, I thought he was the guitar player.
Yeah.
I thought he was the keyboard player.
No, I don't think so. Can't remember. Google him.
I say we just argue about it and figure it out right here, right now.
I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Manzanera, whatever his name is.
I don't even know how to spell his
They're
name.
going to Google this, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are listening on radio, you know exactly what's going on. And
yeah, they'll be on the edge of the sleeping bag.
I know they are. Everybody is at the present time.
What about Billy Preston?
Billy Preston? I don't know him.
Oh, he was the keyboard player on some of the Beatles albums. Where they go around in circles.
Best known as the founding member and keyboardist of the Doors. I win.
Yeah, but that's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of the guy with the beard.
But I asked about Ray Manzarek.
He was thinking about Ray Manzarella.
You win, but you're not allowed to drink my whiskey.
that yours?
Yeah.
I better drink my own then.
I think he's had way too much. You know, he's going
Not
to
enough.
somebody hide the copy machine from Ian. Otherwise, MSI will have a new logo as well, which will look very much like ZipperTongue's album cover. So, all right, gentlemen, before we send Ian into any more Google searches, let's do a favor to some of these artists who have submitted music and take a listen to what they've sent us and find out what you guys think about it. So we're going to take a listen to the first song on today's broadcast, and here it is for everybody at home. This is song number 1 on today's MSI. Enjoy it, everyone. That is song number 1 on today's music scene investigation. I want to get my video fixed here. So anyway, that's song number 1. We're going to take and go over to the guys and find out what they think about it. We're going to go to Ian and Nick first. Ian, what do you think about this track?
All right, this is a bunch, excuse me, a bunch of GarageBand loops, which I've used before. I recognise a few of them, especially that little horn that came in the end, just on that fade out. I actually used that in my first GarageBand song.
No, really?
I distinctly remember using it. And yeah, it is what it is. It's a bunch of loops that someone's put together There is a basic understanding of arrangement here. I like the dynamics where the drums are dropping out, the conga sounds and stuff like that. But it's, for what it is, it's a minute too long, and it really lacks melody. Now, if you're working in GarageBand, that's fine. A lot of people start off in there. But even if you haven't got a keyboard or anything like that, you've got a typing keyboard. And there's a thing in GarageBand called musical keyboard, which will allow you to select a software instrument and play keys on your computer keyboard. And I would have liked to hear some addition of melody in there at least, because it just sort of meandered on, ebbing and flowing as the drums came in and out again, with no real direction or purpose. The mix from that point of view, yeah, we think sounded okay. It was pretty safe. It was nothing mind-blowing. I think, my comment to the person who's done this would be, look, you've started something. You are showing an understanding of basic arrangement, of basic dynamics, and of basic mixing. And I think this is a really good place to start. So carry on, but this isn't the track so far.
All right, and while we're with you, what about you, Nick? What do you think of this track?
Well, I was kind of hopeful at the beginning, especially when I started hearing the underwater noises.
I thought it was your stomach.
No, it was I hope it was the track. Good grief. Otherwise, I'm going to see a doctor tomorrow. Be your rabbit. I've been eating. I've been eating Ian's rabbit because it's Easter here.
That's right.
But kind of showed a bit of promise, meandered a bit too much, and then I realised there was going to be no vocals and there's no guitar in it. That's the biggest sin for me. No real guitar. So if you're listening, Mr. Composer Guy, get some guitar in it. Otherwise, it's not a real song. Other than that, you can't say much about it. It's very cut and paste. I've worked at colleges all over the UK, music colleges, and taught composition and all that, and it's very much a kind of first year, end of term project, just to show that you can more or less work Logic or Cubase. But on a positive note, while I was listening to it, I did think that if I was watching a documentary late at night on how to build some kind of bizarre hot rod or something like that, as they show you the car and they're saying this wishbone suspension is now connected to the wheel and all that, if that music was in the background, that's exactly what kind of purpose it would serve, I think. It's kind of good library music,
and
if anything. You
do hear in this country GarageBand loops, which come with the standard bog standard package in GarageBand, appearing on adverts these days.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I don't know what the purpose of that music is. Like I say, it sounds like an end of term project, but if you were to do anything with that, that would be what you do, library music or background music. But the one thing I would say is that it's kind of unfocused, because when you start using lots of loops and you just drag and drop them in, you have to listen to how they connect with one another. So from a composer's point of view, when you get to things like rhythmic counterpoint, where you've got rhythms that are working against each other, which happened in that piece, I would go back and address that and maybe just use less samples, less little melodies going on, and just try and support the good ones that are there a little bit more.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Makes sense. And before we get to Tom, I want to remind everybody who's listening on MSI Radio, we were getting some notes on Twitter of people looking for the video and the chat room. Unfortunately, the video and chat are both down due to a problem at our content delivery network location. They cut the main fiber. Who knew? If you cut the main fiber and don't have a backup, everything goes offline. But apparently it does. So, Tommy, what do you think about what you just heard in the way of track number one?
Well, I agree with both the guys. I was very, very hopeful in the beginning, had a little bit of that sympathy for the devil type of intro with the perk only. And then it sort of meandered a bit. And it was a single level plateau. I would have liked, about halfway a change up where, I forget who said it, where guitars come in, power guitars, just really for big support, and yeah, definitely needs a lead line. For what it is, it's perfect for library music. It's a very good start. I would develop it more by adding less intricacy and just some straight ahead guitars and maybe some vocal padding, just oohs and ahs and stuff. But it was interesting. It held my attention, and as a background piece, that's good. So they got a good start there. Just bring in some real guitars and some vocal pads, and just to make it a little bit more, to break up and take it to another level, and it'll be better for it.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tommy. Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce that track to everybody. The name of this particular track is called So Beastie, or Not So Beastie, by Disco. And we appreciate Disco sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Before we get to song number 2 on the broadcast, I'm going to go over to Ian because he's pointing a finger at me like he's very angry. Ian.
I have a question for young Nick here.
Absolutely.
You said it's not a real song until it's got guitars on it.
He said it's not a real song until it has real guitars in it.
Real guitars in it. Let's take, for example, I don't know, Holst's The Planets, played by the London Philharmonic Orchestra.
Rubbish.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Now you know.
It's actually, if you listen to Mars from the Planet Suite, he nicked that from Black Sabbath.
I think you find it might be the other way around.
It was actually, yes. They were trying to play.
Just guessing.
They were trying to play. It was Geezer Butler. He's the bass player, isn't he?
He was a keyboard player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a keyboard player.
Here we go.
No, he's got a beard. He can't be. No. So yeah, he was trying to play the Planet Suite, and he came up with Black Sabbath. Came up with that riff. And that's how it happened.
There you go.
I was there. I taught them.
Really?
No.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A little music history thrown in as we get ready.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah, they just make it up, so why can't we, Tommy?
Yeah, that's just what we do.
All right. Second song coming up on today's broadcast. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll be right back.
Guitar, some vino, venga conmigo. I don't swim in the currents for life or assurance. My suitcase is barren, his clothes that I'm wearing is all I believe in. No purpose, just freedom. So keep your convictions, not knowing his wisdom is taking enough to give away. It's taking enough to give away. Illusions, professionals, heartset convention. My old school's preparing for discipline of parents. The grown man in ripped jeans, no more. Family, little crayon on your sink, cause coolness is a currency. Keep your convictions, not knowing his wisdom is taking enough to give away. It's taking enough to give away. See, you got no peace is what I need. It's just a little different. 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 Sweeties and biting like soft drugs and tight jeans. The house man my favors, but if you're gonna get famous, we hot pins on delay like setups and screenplays in our schoolgirl weekends that come with prescriptions. Sitting in the favors, pinstripes and blazers. We'll make enough to give away, make enough to give away. See, you got no peace is what I need. It's just a little different. 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 It's just a little different.
There you have song number 2 on today's music scene investigation. A little feedback on the end of that there. We're going to go over to Tommy first, find out what he thinks about this track. Tommy, your thoughts on track number 2?
I like this track. I like everything about the track except the mix. I mean, the backgrounds are there. Everything you need is there in your audio files or tape. It's really well produced. It's got a lot of interesting parts coming in. The really edgy guitar is a little edgy for me. It should be either back in the middle or stereo. In the beginning, the single note guitar was really buried. I really love the background playoffs they have. Like I said, I really like this song. I see no problem with the production or whatever. It's just the mix. Take it back. Really try to make it more stereo. Keep an eye on the EQ and dynamics and balances. And this baby is ready to go.
All right, Tommy, I appreciate that. Very quick. Over to Mr. Nick Andrew. Nick, what do you think about track number 2?
Hello. It's definitely my favourite track of the evening.
You had to.
Yeah, well. Yeah, no, it was a proper song, got proper guitars in it, which I was impressed by. At the beginning, I wasn't sure whether it was going to go that kind of indie rock.
They weren't real guitars, though. Do you know?
They weren't real?
A little birdie.
Really small?
No, yeah, they were very small.
It sounded like proper guitars. It had more of that kind of bite to it. At the beginning, I wasn't sure whether it was going to go in a kind of an indie track like it did, an indie pop track, or whether it was going to be like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was kind of a very similar kind of sound.
Yeah, I see where you're going from with that.
Yeah, the time warp kind of sound,
Just to jump to the left.
Ah, exactly. But yeah,
to the right.
It was a good track. The diction and the vocals could have been better, but I like the kind of sound, the general vibe of it. The actual mix, like Tom said, is a bit confused in parts. The guitars they could just do with a little bit of mid scooped out so the vocal sits better, that kind of thing. And the vocals, I don't know if it was the reverb or whatever on the vocals, but a trick that I always use, and I never use reverb on lead vocals, I use delay, and try and space out in stereo with two different sides to it. So the center vocal's dry and you've got the delays on either side, so that the vocal sounds like it's got reverb on it, and it sounds like it's slightly away from you, but it's not. It's still up there and up front of the rest of the mix as well. Also, I'd probably mix. You might know this already, but if you mix in mono to get a good stereo sound, that sounded like it was mixed in mono and left in mono. It's just a bit too much going on in places, and the vocals were drowned out. Guitars were a bit too loud in places. The little lead guitar bit was a bit drowned out. So just a bit of EQ would sort all that out. And the ending was just a bit too long, I think. You're kind of waiting for someone else to happen and nothing happens. So I'd shorten that. I like the feedback at the end, but I'd shorten that last chord a little bit. Just chop it up and stick the doodah in. Or put a big bang at the end to give everybody a wee fright.
What's the doodah?
A doodah. It's a technical term. Tom will tell you.
Right.
Yeah, very technical.
Producer's term.
Very
Well,
technical.
as far as technical terms, what Nick said about using delays, the way I do it is just like he said, vocal just with delays on it, and then I'll put a slight reverb on the delays.
Yeah.
But the lead vocal has nothing on it except the delay, and then the delay has reverb on it, and it gives it a big spacey feeling. But that's a very good point.
Another wee trick that I use is you take a bus out from the vocal and you put either a tremolo effect or a chorus effect just ever so slightly underneath, so that as you get the center of the stereo mix, on either side, very subtly, the vocal's going left and right, or it's kind of jumping left and right if you're using chorus, and just fattens things up a little bit. So that's how you get a lot of those, the vocals that sound really dry but are very big and spacious. That's how they're done, apparently. That's what I read in Women's Zone, anyway.
There you go. All right. It's amazing where you can get tricks like that from. Ian, what do
Totally.
you think of number 2?
This was like a slowed down Billy Idol. You hear the Billy Idol in there? Things like, think of songs like Real Wild One and stuff like that. That melody, them underlying guitars, the chugging and stuff like that.
I could
So
agree
to
with
me,
you.
yeah, had a bit of touch Billy Idol. Again, yeah, the mix was unbalanced. Not enough stereo going on. I didn't mind the tone of the guitars. I thought that all worked for me. But the biggest thing with me was I was waiting on the edge of my seat for it to sort of kick up a gear,
Really kick
change
up, yeah.
tempo and push in, and those drums to start pounding sort of almost onto effectively what was the second verse. And it's kind of just sort of took little incremental steps up. And for me, that wasn't gratifying enough. I was waiting for that big slam in as the chorus kicked in. And because it was just stepping up slightly each time, that push into the chorus wasn't enough. You know, I think, you know...
Guitar solo.
Guitar solo.
Yeah, you're quite right. It should
Yes.
have a guitar solo
Yes,
in it.
it should have a guitar solo.
I was just thinking that.
I should
Yeah.
go on the road.
And, yeah, but, you know, I think I liked the tempo to start with, when that sort of little intro where he's singing and it's just, that, you know, it was really nice that it was straight in with the guitars and the vocals as well, no long intros to sit through and anything like that. But I think, you know, as soon as them drums came in, it should have kicked up another 10 to 20 BPM to give that whole track a bit more energy and a bit more push, because it just seemed to be sitting back on that groove a little bit too much and didn't quite go like it needed to. I mean, that was really my biggest criticism of this, was the tempo. It just seemed too slow for this track.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Ian. And of course, Pinky is telling us that there are overcompressed flanger effects on the backup vocals.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, the backup vocals didn't really sit properly.
Yeah.
She seemed to be sort of stuck out there on her own, when really she should be blending in a bit more with that lead vocalist. And, you know, I know some people maybe sort of, well, you know, I wanted to be a part of the band. I don't want to just be the backup vocalist. But in a mixed situation, she shouldn't just be stuck out there on her own. She should be blending in with the rest of the track instead of sort of sat up there at
not
the same
fighting it.
level as the lead vocalist. It just didn't work.
All right. Well, let me take and introduce that track to everybody. The name of this track is Just a Little Different, and that's by a group called Skinny Bitches. There you have it. Skinny Bitches, we appreciate you sending that track in to Music Scene Investigation. And
That's
we have
another one censored.
yeah, we have one more. We're on radio now, so we can pretty much go anywhere we want.
I've
But
got another question.
pardon me.
Question.
Go ahead.
It's not a real song if it hasn't got real guitars on it.
Yeah.
You play MIDI guitar.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit of a juxtaposition, because you're playing other instruments that aren't real on a guitar?
Yeah, but I'm always playing guitar.
Yeah, but
It's a paradox.
okay,
It'll keep you awake at night for years.
just check.
It's like an onion. It's layers upon layers upon layers.
And
And it
he-
makes you cry.
Nick, are you from the planet Gallifrey by chance?
No, Broughty Ferry.
But don't you think he looks like he could be the next Doctor?
He should be. He should be. We need a Scottish doctor.
It wouldn't really work. Hi, I'm Dr. Nick.
Sorry, David Tennant.
Somebody's already done that, haven't they?
David Tennant.
Yeah, but
No,
David,
Dr. Nick.
I don't know.
David,
Yeah.
I've never
Simpsons.
done Dr. Nick. Don't even know him.
David
Simpsons.
changed his accent too, and we don't want, you can't change your accent and still claim Scottish.
Oh no.
So there.
I don't sound Scottish anymore, though. I've been living in England for 20 years.
Well, that's okay. You can still say it. We don't mind.
Apples and pears.
Yeah, Frog and Toad.
From Toad, yeah.
All right, we have
I'll be mixed.
another song, gentlemen. We have one more track before we can take it totally off the rails. One more track to listen to, and this is it. Certainly hope you enjoy it, everyone. This is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Enjoy.
That's your girl Bubblegum. It's your girl BG. Check hot right here. started. Every time you see me, man, you know I get it poppin'. I'm a bad chick, so you know I'm getting naughty every day my birthday. So we bout to start a party. It's poppin' over here, poppin' over there. Poppin' like some popcorn, get it poppin' everywhere. Get my lip gloss poppin', and I know you like my hair. So when I walk up in the room, everybody start to stare. Bubble gum, I'm real cute. Yeah, I'm stuntin' like a model. I ain't know the number, but I can still pop a bottle. You know I be coolin' like the weather in Chicago. You wanna live what? YOLO, that's the motto. Bubblegum in a dish. How many pieces do you wish?
I wish 100, you wish 8. Now you understand why you pull
Get it poppin', yeah. When it's time to start a party. Swag girl team #1, I get it started. Swag first to death, everywhere I'm counting racks. Cause you know I got them stats. Why you hatin', holla back, yeah. Where I flow crazy, cause you know I'm turned up. Bubblegum on the beat, so you know they turned up. Gotta keep it up, cause you know I'm doing right. Party, 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 party all night. To everybody out here who listens to my music. It's your girl Bubblegum. Shout out to Splash Jam Style. We taking over. Yeah.
That is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. I want to go over to Nick first and find out what his thoughts are. Nick, what do you think about track number 3?
Very interesting. Being Scottish and middle class, I'm of course built for kind of rap and dance music. To me, it was kind of alien because it's not really the kind of music I listen to, but I've heard before. And I'm always intrigued as to how it would sound if there's real instruments playing it. So if you had a real string section and a jazz keyboard player and a real drummer on it, I think it'd appeal to me a little bit more. But I think it's got great potential, that tune. It kind of had a lot of interesting stuff in it. Lots of ear candy, maybe a bit too much. The thing that kind of let it down for me really was if you're going to do a kind of rappy kind of thing, in my opinion, I have to know what you're singing about. And I couldn't quite make out what the lass was saying. I know all about people not understanding you because I'm afflicted with a Scottish accent. So
you can have a party.
I could work that bit out, but I didn't know whether there was going to be cheese and pineapple or bring a bottle or what. So,
Spin the bottle.
Aye. But as far as the sound goes, as far as the mix goes, it was another mix where there's lots going on. I think a lot of that style of music you choose samples that sound good on their own, but when you put them together, they don't quite gel. There's a bit too much going on, like the arpeggios going on in the background were conflicting a little bit with the actual string parts and all that kind of thing. So it comes down to a sense of basic composition and choose the parts you like and keep them and support them. It's the same as the first track. Other than that, the vocal diction, it was a bit dark sounding, a bit muffled, I think. And again, there could have been more use of the stereo space so that the vocals were a bit more up front. And it'd be nice to have a little bit of dynamics in that sort of music. because I know that it just sounds like you press spacebar, let the drum machine do its thing, and did that make a noise when I did
You
that?
tapped that, a noise happened, and you.
No, it doesn't do it again.
Yeah.
That's the alien speaking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So it'd be nice to have a bit of dynamics in the drums, or just someone a bit like a drum fill would be nice to kind of ramp things up or give it a sense of purpose, really. Otherwise, I'd just buy a cheap drum machine and press play. Get a real drummer on that track, and I think it'd be kicking.
Is it a real song if it hasn't got real drums in it?
Depends if it's played on guitar or not.
Right.
If you need a MIDI guitarist to play drums, I'm your man. And I'm not very expensive.
All right. Well, there you have it. Ian, what do you think of track number 3?
All right. I felt, from a mix point of view, very too much top end. The high mids seemed really sharp, especially on them drums and that snare as it was sort of snapping. It was just quite spiteful in the sound. And there was no clarity in the bass end either. It was all sub and a lot of bottom end going on with no sort of clarity in that kick drum or in the actual bass line itself, which wasn't doing too much. Yeah, it did seem to lack dynamics. It was pretty much verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. No sort of real break. I did think the beats were very well programmed. I liked the program on the Jeep with the breaks and the stops and bits and pieces like that. But I felt what was lacking was the girl's ability to lock in with that. Any good rapper will lock in with the beats that are being provided to them, and they'll sort of work with them, and they'll put the stops in the right places. She just seemed to be on the same beat each time, constantly sort of keeping the same pattern going, not mixing it up at all.
There was another thing that I noticed, that she was... I don't know much about this genre, so I do apologise if I've got it wrong, but she was a bit out of tune in bits.
Yeah.
When she's kind of singing the note. And I know it's kind of a bit monotone and flat. That's the style, I'm guessing, but it was out of tune. So I know they use auto-tune because you can hear it.
Badly.
Well, it's got the share effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, you see, again, this for me, I don't like. I don't like this, this share effect. Everyone seems to be doing it. And that vocal treatment, especially on that sung vocal, I think that was part of the problem for it being unclear and lacking clarity in the words, because it was swamped by effects, basically.
Yeah.
And, get someone who can sing. If you can't do it yourself, find someone who can come and do that chorus justice, because there is a hook there. There is a commercial feel to this track. And I think, it could actually go a little bit further, but it needs to be reworked. Back off all that auto-tuning. Even some of the rap have auto-tune on, and that to me is just taking it too far.
But get it in tune.
Yeah.
Get it in tune.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's go to Mr. Tom Chianti, who knows more about this genre than I ever will. Tommy, what do you think about this particular track?
Well, I agree a lot with the gentlemen have said. I think there's a lot of good in here. It's very commercial. But like Nick said, there's a little much going on that's a little distracting, a little bit more work on performances, on background and the lead. Ian was right. She's always on the beat. She didn't change it up enough. It was a little toppy, a little edgy. The main kick was more pump than bottom. It was like too much 200 hertz, and it should have had, some more bottom end. The whole bottom end could have been much better defined. And it's a good production. It's a little bit over the top production wise. I definitely think they should keep at it and rework it. Try mixing up the lead a little bit more, going in and off beats and tripling it up. Yeah, like Nick said, find the good parts that you really like and keep them in, and give the vocalist space, make it louder and clearer, not so much effects. The auto-tune was there because it's part of the genre now. I did like the way everything broke down and halfway in or 3/4 of the way in, where they slowed the track and came back in again. That was cool. And like I said, there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. I think the production needs to be tuned in a little bit more. And I think the out-of-tuneness didn't bother me so much, but I do think the performances could be better. And outside of that, a better mix, redo the vocals a little bit, and not so busy, and it'll go a lot further. But like I said, it's an excellent start.
All right, Tommy, I appreciate that as well. Thank you. Let me introduce that track to everybody. The name of this track, it's called Get It Poppin' by a group called Bubblegum, and they're presented and submitted to MSI by their management, I guess, which is Splash Jam South. They were also mentioned in the song. So we appreciate them for sending that track in to Music Scene Investigation. If you want to join us on MSI, your music on MSI, all you need to do is go to musicsceneinvestigation.com, and you can find a Submit a Song link at the top of the page there where you can submit your music, and every week we'll take and choose 3 randomly to present to our panelists. So who knows, you could be next. Nick and Tom and Ian, you now have the task of deciding on a song of the week, as I invite everybody to submit their witness statements as well at musicsceneinvestigation.com/witness. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to go ahead and discuss it and make your selection as to the song of the week you'd like to have this week.
I think it's quite easy for me. I'm going to go straight for number 2. I think, out of all the songs we've heard, it is the most finished piece. And although we all agree it needs a few mix issues, I think, as Tom said, all the elements are there to do that and make it work really quickly. So number 2 for me.
I don't know which one I'd choose. I think number 3 has a lot of potential. I'd love to hear that with real drums. If I can ask Tom a question.
Certainly.
When you do rap stuff, would you have a real drummer on, or is it better to have a program drum? Is it just part of the genre? Or if you had a real drummer, he could add all the exclamation marks, question marks, and stuff.
Would it work? Groups will have a real drummer and cut up loops, and use the real drummer loops and pick snares and kicks and the rhythms that they like that they use. Some people just program. The programming on this was okay, but it would have added a little sparkle if they had a really well-mic'd sounding live drummer and just cut up the loops that they wanted.
Yeah, it sounds like that kind of genre could do with a bit of interplay to make it, a bit more, appealing to me, basically. If you can tell everybody that there's rap to use a proper drummer, just for me, I'd be a very happy man. I'd put more guitar solos in it, obviously. But I think I'll go for number 2, track 2, ultimately, because it would be it's probably the closest to being done, really.
It had real guitars on it.
And it had guitars in it. So I was, I'd go for number 2.
All right, and Tommy, your thoughts?
I'm not going to rock the boat this week. I learned my lesson last week. I'll go with number 2.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Song number 2 is unanimously selected as Song of the Week. Just a Little Different by Skinny Bitches. And I'll bet the name kind of intimidated you guys anyway, right?
Oh, I'm terrified of thin women.
If they're skinny,
Rich, you're my skinny bitch.
There's a rap song right there.
Thank you, Tommy. Indeed, there is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Nick, thank you for joining us as well. A great time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me again. Slanchiver.
Up your bum.
No, that's not what it means.
Isn't it? I thought that was a literal translation.
No.
Well, we certainly hope we can have you back very soon. September to June or May or whatever month it is way too long, in my opinion. So
it's fine.
So I
just give us a call. I'll be there.
He lives in his car. He's not always around.
Well, we need to be able to find a way to get a hold of him all the time, Ian.
You got to find his layabout.
There you go.
I am my layabout.
The original.
Layabout.
Just call the police and put out an APB on him. They'll find him for you. It works. It works. Thanks again, Nick. You can always
I rang the police and said, "Look, I'm looking for a mad Scottishman who's in a lay-by in a car somewhere," they'd be searching countrywide.
They would find him. There you have it. You can pick up Nick's album with his band ZipperTongue at ZipperTongue.com. And, of course, we have a shot of it there on the screen. So go to ZipperTongue.com for their new album. Pick it up. Very cool stuff. And, of course, we look forward to seeing you here again next time. Hopefully the video will be fixed. And, well, it should be fixed. I don't think they have any more fiber to cut over there, so I think we'll be fine. Anyway, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time right here on Music Scene Investigation. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Guitar, some vino, venga conmigo. I don't swim in the currents for life or assurance. My suitcase is barren, it's clothes that I'm wearing is all I believe in. No purpose, just freedom. So keep your convictions, not knowing it's wisdom. It's take enough to give away, it's take enough to give away. Illusions, confessions, I'm heartsick and vengeance. My old school's preparing, but disappointing the parents. Grown man in ripped jeans, no more. Family, little crayon on your sink, 'cause coolness is a currency. Keep your convictions, not knowing it's wisdom. It's take enough to give away, it's take enough to give away. So you got no peace, is what I need. It's just a little different. 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 Cities inviting me like soft drugs and tight jeans. The house man my favors, but if you're gonna get famous. Hot teams on delay like setups and screenplays in our schoolgirl weekends that come with prescriptions. Sitting in my favors, and strive to